If one examines his life, he typically examines it from the standpoint of events and circumstances, and then he grades it according to the positive and the negative things that are happening to him. This is a very small life. This is an entirely limited examination. And such a thing is not living at all. There is no compulsion to live. There is no rule or law which states that one must live in a certain way. But rarely one may wish to examine why is it that they're here, not from the standpoint of purpose or meaning, but from the standpoint of the nature of their daily existence. The human being ends up living his life in order to do chores. Domesticity is, in many ways, a criminal affront against the natural state of a human being. And while from a practical perspective, things do need to be done in order to live in this world, things that may be rather routine, some human beings' imaginations tend to drift towards the possibility of what it may be like to pursue and or explore a life that is uncommon. And commonness is perhaps the gravest error of all. As always, it is never related to what should one do and what is the proper way to live. There are no such distinctions and there are no such definitions. And those who tell people how to live and what is proper and what is correct and what is incorrect and what is right and wrong and what is holy and unholy and healthy and unhealthy. Such things only make one into more of a cardboard cutout than he already is. That instead of being his own version of a cardboard cutout, he then becomes perhaps a more proper or healthier version of a cardboard cutout. Rarely does one examine, but the rare person does. What is his life? What is it that he does every day? Not that he should be doing something different. Not that he should be doing more of this or less of that. But what is the difference between the way he is living now and having already died? The human being is alive only in a clinical sense. But it is the human being who searches for a life that is beyond simply the clinical, that has a possibility. A person wakes up, he does chores, he or she works, makes money, buys things, makes deals, carries out his or her responsibilities. Then the day ends. Then one retreats to a bed and goes to sleep and does it again the next day. And a cosmetic way to view what was just said would be to say that one should have more fun and one should take more breaks and one should take more vacations and one should live a happier life and not be so work oriented and gain more work life balance. But in looking at it this way, that would just be more chores. Taking a break from something implies that the thing that is being taken a break from is not worth doing. And taking a break to do something pleasurable is simply a short-lived treat. And if one recognizes that he or she, within moments or days, is about to once again return to the doldrums, of what use is the break? It is simply a prolonging of the inevitable. So Work-life balance and all of these things are once again an example of society's ways of putting band-aids and plastic patches on things. The real questions are never asked, and the real things are never explored. It would be incorrect to assume that what is being said is that one should live his or her life, that one should gain more happiness. Whatever one gleans from this, they glean. Whatever the words create inside of a human being, they create. There is no prediction of what they might create, and there is no hope that they should create X or Y. These words are simply being spoken. The rare person examines his life not in order to improve himself, but because he finds that something is forever missing. And something is missing in everyone's life, and it's the same thing. And giving that thing a name may be a matter of debate. But whether one is rich or poor, famous or unknown, the thing is missing in everyone. Before a serious person examines what that thing is, not to give it a name, but because he cannot help but to examine it. To follow prescriptions of betterment and to improve one's outlook and to better one's habits. These are all swirling muddy water. For while they may provide an uptick in the number of doses of perhaps happiness that one may gain, no sooner do they arrive than they are gone once again. The world tells the human being what he should and should not do. And because the human being spends his life following these tenets, ideals, concepts, and prescriptions, he or she never truly has the occasion or the intent to explore their life. Not from the standpoint of success, and not from the standpoint of gain, but in order to discover the essence of things, in order to discover a cure for things, in order to discover a permanent way out of the confusion and the misery and all the sufferings that are replete within a human being's life. There is nothing to do, and there is nothing that one should learn. For to do and to learn implies an ulterior motive, and the ulterior motive is forever short-lived, therefore it has no currency. The land of sincerity provides no definitions, and the land of seriousness contains no prescriptions. Questions may be asked, the questions that are asked that relate to how to, or disguised as a how to, will certainly not receive a response. But a rare question tends to elicit a response, and if it does, it does. And if the question does not, on its own terms, and of its own quality, elicit a response, then the person will be sent back to the audience. This is not a reprimand. There is simply nothing to say. If you are invited to the stage, you may ask your question. And I will state that if you are not familiar with, there's a great hesitation to call it my work because it does not emanate from me. It comes from somewhere beyond, through me. But those who are not familiar with it will perhaps have far more confusion than solace. They are welcome in the room. but they will likely not have the self-vetting to ask a question which will receive a response. Having said that, sometimes innocence is often powerful in its own right.